Good afternoon, everyone. This is Feather from New Federal State of China. Welcome to our special English program, Miles Trial. So we're on live every day of the trial from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time to bring you the most latest and updates and news on Miles's case. So as you know, Miles is the #1 enemy of Chinese Communist Party and the founder of New Federal State of China. And just so everyone's clear that U.S. Federal government put 12 financial charges against Miles and 1 RICO, and he has never pleaded guilty. The trial officially started the 22nd of May this year at the Southern District Courthouse of New York, 500 Pearl Street, room 26B. It's a public trial. If anyone's interested, you're more than welcome to go see it. The trial will last approximately for 7 weeks. So during every trial day, we are giving live updates, live posts on X under the account and at SC Speak. For core documents such as transcripts of the trial, you can go on nfscofficial.com. We have the transcript in both English and Chinese. You can click on the court cases on the top of the bar and to have an access of the transcript. We're also live on Getter, Rumble, and you can follow us at NFSC Speak. So today, we're in day 16 of the trial, and we have 3 guests today with me to give us a really awesome show. That's what I expect, and a lot of news as I'm not in court today, so I'm gonna be questioning our fellow fighters here to give some updates on the trial today. And please welcome Max and Jackson and Kevin. Hi guys.
Hi everyone.
What's going on, everybody?
Thank you, Feather.
Right.
Thank you.
So please tell us a bit about how the day, just a little bit of rundown, like how was today generally. Don't give any details yet, because we're gonna get into that.
Well, how about this? We can kick things off with a little bit of an update on Mr. Miles. Mr. Miles was in his light gray suit, handsome as ever. Black shirt, black tie, super clean, super sharp, super energetic, high spirit. So that's Mr. Miles' goal today, and with Sabrina, of course, she's in her, the usual as well. Everybody's very high spirited. Everybody, I mean, as always, since the very beginning of the trial, has been always a line outside the door since the very, early morning.
So is there still a lot of audience today?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone there since, excuse me, around like maybe 8 a.m. Some of the people were waiting outside for over like about, an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
8
just
a.m.,
to...
so an hour, they arrived an hour before that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
just
so,
to get in. Yes.
Yeah, there's
yes.
a line in the morning, there's a line after the
afternoon.
break, going in, same
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Everybody's on time, the jurors, the judge, everybody.
Yeah, so just so you know, there is a limited space in the courthouse that you can go in and then have a seat. But then if you don't, whoever wants to go to the trial, there's another room that you can watch the trial on a screen, and it's very high quality, and it has a good audio system. You can watch it from a different room. Yeah, so we have some news about Miles, and let's talk about before the trial starts. So the trial starts normally at 9:30.
So I just wanted to make a quick correction.
Yeah.
So when people were waiting outside at 8 a.m., it was actually 1.5 hours before the court was supposed to be begun. So it just shows to you like the support that we're getting for this case and the general intrigue.
Yeah.
So Miles comes in at 9, and then in between 9 to when the court actually starts, there's actually a lot of important discussion.
We're talking about a future witness that they're going to bring on. His name is Samuel Roberts, as we know it thus far. We will confirm once the gentleman actually steps in the courtroom. But with that being said, there's going to be a new gentleman by the name of Samuel Roberts, and he will be testifying in regards to H-Coin, HDO, the Himalayan exchange, for example, and the government team actually made it a point to say that this, excuse me, this witness will not be testifying on if H-Coin, HDO are cryptocurrencies, but rather, or if Himalayan exchange is an exchange, but rather the legality behind, or because this gentleman is I believe.
Is he with BitGo, or is he
Yes.
the CEO of BitGo?
Correct.
Right.
He's the CEO of BitGo, and then he's going to go over why did BitGo terminate their relationship with Himalayan Exchange, to go over the logistics of that.
Oh,
and
so there's a relationship with BitGo and Himalayan Exchange. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So any change with the schedule? And
right.
Yeah.
So as many people have heard from yesterday's broadcast, they were talking about the fact that they might have to extend the next week for a full day, so it'll go on from 9:30 all the way to 5 p.m. And this is so that they can avoid the fact that extending the trial from the set day, which was July 12th, I believe.
Yes.
So the prosecution had asked them, because they were saying that on this pace, they might go to the end of July if they don't extend any of these days, which is very interesting because, like we pointed out last week, the government had some scheduling witnesses, and they were all able to meet their schedule, along with the fact that they were actually able to squeeze in an extra witness last week. So that was very interesting. And I was told, I didn't witness this myself today, but I was told that the government had actually filed a 16,000 page exhibit or as evidence.
Right. So from what I know in the office, that there is the CEO of Mercantile, right? That was scheduled to come in court and then testify on behalf of the government.
Right.
So you said there was a document that's 16,000 pages long?
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
So the original document is 79,000.
Oh, 79,000.
and then the government said, hey, we cleaned it up at 16,000.
Okay.
And then how can you give and then to my knowledge, and then please everybody go to the transcript for confirmation, is that they had received this actually in April.
In April. So
and they
the government received the documents, the 16, they cleaned it up, so the 16,000 pages document in April, and they just told the defense.
They just filed it yesterday night.
Oh, so they just filed the 16,000 pages long documents regarding to this witness last night for the defense team.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, this is not. I don't think this is the first time that they've notified the defense in such short notice.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there were some witnesses that they notified maybe just a couple days before as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is also another reason why the delay is caused, right? Actually, I'm sure there's a lot of time are taken during the direct examination and cross-examination just to give a throughout questioning session and then to show the jurors.
Yeah.
But then a lot of times spent on it's actually preparing for those testimony and the witnesses for to be fair for both parties, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let's start with the first witness, actually the witness number 15, I believe. She was brought yesterday at the end of the day. We started to hear her backgrounds and stuff, but I wasn't there, so I didn't really get to know her, and then what's her involvement in the movement and why is she testifying as outside of the government. Okay. So does anyone want to give a little bit introduction to this witness?
Yeah, I can. So she testified yesterday, 15th witness. Her name is Min Ran Wu. And she used to be a follower of the whistleblowers movement. She first heard about Miles on YouTube watching videos back in, I believe, 2018. And she was born in China, and she came to the U.S. In 2001.
Okay.
And so, today, starting around 9:40. So first, it was talking about the farm loan program.
That's during the direct examination?
Yeah, okay. of the prosecution. So, they're talking about how much she invested in the farm loan program, which was $20K. And then they brought up an exhibit which showed the farm loan agreement, and they were just the prosecution was just direct questioning her about it. So, for example, she was asking the witness how was the process of signing this, and the witness mentioned that she was sort of pressured into signing it very quickly. She mentioned that she had, I believe, 24 to 48 hours to sign the agreement, and so she didn't really get a chance to read it over completely.
Okay.
And the reason for this was because she was told that the CCP can close the bank accounts at any time, and so it's a bit of a rush to get the agreement signed.
So so get the agreement signed. Is there anything else involving other investments that she talked about except for the farm loan?
Yeah, I mean, they also mentioned, about the G Club's membership as well as the H coin quota.
H coin quota, and this is like all of her involvements in the movement. I just have one question. So does she have any translator? Was she fluent in English when during the direct examination?
Yeah.
She was.
I mean, I can't speak to her fluency in English, but I guess there were many times where, she gave non-responsive answers.
During the cross.
During the cross, and there was many times where Miles's defense counsel had to move to strike due to non-responsive answers.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you see a pattern in the witnesses, the
Right.
so-called victim by the government,
Mm-hmm.
that the witness seem to have trouble understanding some of the cross-examination questions, and then answer questions not according to the
question that was asked.
Question was asked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
just one point.
for sure.
I want to mention that like how you said there was a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a pattern between how most of the victims, almost all the victims, were also related to VOG in Sarah Way.
Okay.
In at some point in time.
Okay, so VOG it was a part of the GTV investment, right? But then, so this is like the VOG. It was separated from the investment that goes to Miles, so it was go to the individual, which was Sarah Way was the responsible person for that part of the investment. So the investor would go to her, and then to give her money, and then they would unite to the full amount of money to invest in GTV.
Yeah.
So similar pattern with VOG, and then how was the cross like?
Well, how about this? I mean, to add a little bit more to this witness number 15's background, Miran Wu, she actually is somebody that was a part of MOS Farm.
Okay.
Which stands for Mountain of Spice. Okay, which is based in New York. And what's interesting is that she invested not in her own name, but via an LLC. That's called Wonder Invest LLC.
That's her company?
Correct. She had her own individual LLC.
Okay, so she invested with her company?
I mean, using her company as the name, the entity that invested in and everything else.
Oh, okay.
So you can tell this is, and what's interesting is, when she was telling her story, she said that she retired herself 2010. So she's not actively working since 2010.
Okay.
Her husband is. Our defense tried asking some question about the husband. She didn't say too much. She did disclose and testify saying that her husband works for a medicine company, from whom we don't know. But with that being said, it's very interesting is because the farm loan agreement was between her and the MOS Farm. And a great point is that in the farm loan agreement, because we went through the legal language, I mean, the direct went through it, and then we came back. The defense went through it as well. So when the direct was asking questions about the farm loan program, they went over the use of proceeds, for example. What are the proceeds in terms of the dollar amount going to be used for? Right.
The dollar amount that's going to be used for in the
investment.
In the investment, the program.
Yeah, like for example, farm loan agreement into the GTV, for example.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and then to make it very clear, adding on to what Kevin said earlier, that all the wiring of the dollars and the instructions were given to her via Sarah Way. Some, which is somebody that had a falling out with Mr. Miles, the whistleblower movement. So we have to make that distinction, that separation from that person.
So none of the documents she signed or the money she sent, the account of the money she was sent to was directly related to Mr. Miles' School, right? It's
Correct.
all with Sarah Way.
Sarah Way.
Yes. Okay.
The entity set up by Sarah Way.
Yeah, the entity set up by her.
And today we actually made a very, very important discovery for the court. I don't know if it was brought up before today, but it was actually the lawsuit brought up against Sarah Way by the Moss Farm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was this brought during the testifying this witness? This witness?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was during the cross of this witness, and there was a lot of difficulty. It seemed to appear that there was a lot of difficulty bringing up this lawsuit and the conclusion of the lawsuit due to either government objection or the witness not answering that she recollects anything about it. So that automatically basically doesn't allow the defense to inquire more about the situation. So it obviously tells the juror that this specific piece of information might be very crucial to understanding the whole picture.
Right. It's same thing with David died, and then the thing that happened, and then the farm and the whole movement, and also from our side, the Miles' side was like kind of it's separating and distinguished, and we're suing them because they did something wrong. It's not lawful, so we have to like do something against it because they're the ones actually stole the investor money and then run away with it, and then we were taking legal actions against them, right?
The lawsuit was to sue Sarah Wei for stealing money from the investors, and it was brought on by all of the Himalayan farms against Sarah Wei and her farm, right?
Right.
Yeah, and from what I understand, when she was during her time in MOS, she was actually in the translation group that worked on the lawsuit, translating those documents
against Sarah Wei.
So that's a very, very interesting thing because she also testified that she didn't remember much about the thing, but she's actually in charge of translating all the legal logistics.
Wow.
And she mentioned that it was in Texas, right? But I mean, if she was part of VOG, she'd know it was in Phoenix, right, in Arizona. So I just like right after she answered where was it, she answered Texas, and then the defense moved on.
Right.
So I mean, obviously she can't recollect or anything, right?
Right.
And during the direct, still, when Mr. Ferguson asked her to go over some of the financial spreadsheets.
Right.
Okay. What's interesting in this, I'll bring up a couple points, is that when it comes to the spreadsheet, she testified in court saying that it was put together from the screenshots sent to her via Sarah Wei. Okay, very interesting. So she created a spreadsheet based on screenshots that was sent to her via Sarah Wei, which is this lady that had the falling out with Mr. Miles, with the movement and everything else. So they went over a bunch of that, some of the transactions and whatnot. Why is there a little question mark here and this and that? Which is very interesting. And here's something to mention. We're talking about the lawsuit against Sarah Wei. What's interesting is that she actually signed a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, not to disclose any of these the information, for example, the spreadsheet, and all of these. So none of this.
This spreadsheet it's disclosed between her and Sarah Wei.
No. She the NDA. She was not supposed to leak it to anybody in the public.
Okay.
Right, and then she gave it to the government, for example.
Right. There's the same thing that happened with the witness 10, which was there was a translation document to the lawyer. It was have to be completely disclosed, and then between the lawyer, and then it's also apparently it's presented in court as an evidence.
And if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this was actually something that was mentioned before the trial had begun today. This was an argument brought up by the defense that because of the NDA, like these evidence shouldn't be permitted. But eventually it went through. And I just want to point out the importance of the government really wanting to bring this piece of evidence through is because other than this piece of evidence, I feel like she is a repeat victim witness, just like the ninth witness, Jenny Lee, right?
The VP witness.
Sorry. Was it the ninth witness?
Yes,
Jenny
Lee.
Yeah. So the things that she were talking about were the exact same things, if not for this one piece of evidence that she signed an NDA for.
Because they're trying to paint the picture of where's the money going, why is it going here, why is it going there.
Okay.
And it was basically a reiteration of the same victim story of how she invested funds. Funds were seized because of either CCP influence or Sarah Wei. Something happened to her funds. She wouldn't disclose the fact that she actually profited from H-Coin.
Okay, so she believes that. Does she believe that the CCP was infiltrating the system, and therefore some of the money are seized?
Right.
And some part is because
she never. I don't. To my recollection, and everybody can confirm via the transcript, is that whenever she's always asked, she will always dance around the question.
Okay.
She will always dance around the question. And the judge again today had to say, hey, if you're asked what your favorite color is, you would tell what your favorite color is. You don't tell everybody your favorite flower is the rose, right? It's something that Judge Torres said in the court. So it's very interesting. And in terms of her story, because towards the end, I mean, we'll go over that, but I can mention it really quick, is that towards the end, when the cross, Mr. Scott asked her about if she still believes, if she's anti-CCP. You guys remember what she said?
So at the end of the direct examination?
End of the cross.
The cross. So
because
Mr. Scott, that our defense lawyer, asked if she's still okay.
She's anti-CCP. What's interesting is because he mentioned that you because of your history, right? Your family's history with the CCP and stuff like that, and she mentioned that her dad sacrificed, fighting for the CCP. So she couldn't even tell everybody what really happened.
Okay. It's something
what's going on.
Different from what she said yesterday, though, when she was asked why she started to be interested in Chinese politics. It's because of the illness and something.
The illness of the family and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So her story is,
She's iffy. She's like not giving a full, clear picture of the motivation why.
So I just wanted to draw relevance to last week's Mulan, and this idea of like the CCP and their influence on this whole case has gotten all these witnesses in kind of like a spiral, because they don't know exactly how to answer in a way that presents their case better, because after all they are working with the prosecutors, right? And last week when Mulan was asked if she was ran in a circle asking about the CCP, and at the end testified, "Are you here testifying against Miles Guo?" And to which she answered no. And it was obviously a blunder, but it was just because she wasn't able to admit that Miles Guo was anti-CCP, and that revelation came up today as well. Like, again, is Miles Guo anti-CCP? And she would not admit that Miles Guo was the #1 enemy of the CCP. So do you guys want to explain there was a specific piece of evidence that was brought up by the class.
It's a two-part. One is the Operation Fox Hunt that was brought up in court. Our defense lawyer Scott went over what Operation Fox Hunt is, reading over the actual the language of it, and then she went over it, and then Scott asked her, well, after learning about Operation Fox Hunt, do you still believe Mr. Miles is not? Or he's not anti-CCP? And she's like, okay. She still doesn't believe that he's anti-CCP. So Scott asked her.
She doesn't believe that Mr. Miles Guo is anti-CCP.
Correct. Okay. Yes. And then Scott asked her, well, let me show you something else, right? And the other thing that Scott showed her was the targeting of the CCP in terms of the cyber warfare and everything else. Meaning, they had people that were writing articles. They had a specific quota of what they needed to do every single day, targeting Mr. Miles Guo, the Hong Kong protest movement at the time, and then the COVID-19 pandemic. And then he asked her again, do you now believe that he's anti-CCP? Why would the CCP go after him?
Yes.
This way, right? She's like, no, I still don't believe.
Okay.
And then so the Scott asked her, what was the question?
That's very interesting, because that really contradicts how. Also, I raised the question in me that what's the first reason to join the movement and then to start listening to Miles, because she started. I remember yesterday she said she started listening to Miles 2 to 3 times a week and start to listen to him every day on YouTube, and starting from 2018. And because he was talking openly about the evilness of the CCP and the things they've done, right? And then now she's saying she doesn't believe. Well, she doesn't believe at the time or now? Now. Oh, she doesn't believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was funny because this was after, Jackson mentioned that all this evidence was listed out. These were official documents listed out by the U.S. government, because these were cases that the U.S. government had to deal with, right? Like the foreign operatives operating to slander Mr. Guo in terms of media warfare, cyber warfare. There was a list, Operation Fox Hunt, that showed that Mr. Guo was the highest priority of the CCP's repatriation efforts, right? So, and then after all this was listed out, she was asked, do you still believe Mr. Guo?
Why would the CCP spend $4 billion to stop June 4th, 2020? Right. The targeting is it speaks for itself.
Right. And when she answered no, there was no further questions from the exam. So that was a very clean way to end it off, because keep in mind, these people are under oath and they are permitted to tell the truth, the whole truth, as in the complete
nothing but the truth.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yes.
I mean, you could just throughout her entire testimony, you could tell there was very clear inconsistencies. Like, for example, I believe Scott, he asked the witness if she wanted the interest, and she straight up just said no. and then he brought up the farm loan agreement, right, and talked about the interest. And then she was like, okay, so you want, and then he was also like, but you testified to the not testified. He told the prosecutor in this specific meeting on this specific day that you were upset because you didn't get the interest. And then he switched to a farm loan agreement, and then he was like, so you couldn't get the interest because you terminated the contract before it was due.
Maturity date.
Before the maturity date, right?
Yes.
So you don't get the interest automatically, right?
Right.
So, but then you testified that you don't want interest, but then another separate meeting you wanted interest. So it's just very inconsistent, and I'm sure the jurors saw straight through that as well.
Right.
So
it's interesting. I almost see a pattern here. Like they were upset about losing money, and then some witness they turned their back, and then the cross-examiner is saying they're not interested in those money financially.
Right.
So there's a very huge contradiction in their intentions.
Absolutely. And if we may, can we dive into like
the next witness? Or
no, not yet.
Not yet.
There's still a bunch.
There's a lot to talk about regarding this witness because.
One highlight each.
One highlight each. I wanted to talk about how she claimed that she lost $14,000 in her total investments. And how we can break that down. So she said that she invested $20,000 into the farm loan program, and that was only returned 92% if I remember correctly, right? And that was by the SEC because of the whole Sarah Way, like the Moss v. Sarah Way lawsuit. She also said that what was it? She invested about 4,500 into H-Coin, and that was actually refunded to her. It was her private placement that was refunded to her, and she claimed that she didn't have an account, but to give a bit of explanation why she didn't have an account with the Himalaya Exchange was because she was currently residing, she was a U.S. citizen, and at that time, U.S. citizens, Canadian citizens, Japanese citizens, there was a dedicated fund for them to purchase this H-Coin, right? So that was one part, and her final part was that the fact that she cited that she lost $10,000 to a G Club's membership. Now that one was very funny because that was the only one that wasn't returned back to her, right? But it's because G Clubs, as you all may know, like G Clubs, when you purchase that agreement, it's a membership, it's non-refundable. It's like you're paying the service to already get these benefits, and you're very clearly listed out what benefits you're getting, right? So to give an anecdote, right? Like give a metaphor. It's like me saying I want to refund my Amazon Prime subscription from last year because I just feel like I didn't get enough benefits.
Right, and then I believe she's also familiar with G Fashion,
Absolutely,
right? And then did she ever use the benefit of G Fashion?
She said she wasn't fond of the G Fashion pieces.
That's not her style.
Right, but she never denied that she had the 10% discount from G Fashion, which is very interesting. Yeah.
Okay. And then we know in the future there will be more services going to be provided, right? It's a lifetime membership too. And also for the refund, I also have a really interesting question because similar to other witnesses, when they were asked if they ever go to Miles School directly for the refund, I want to ask, was she asked that question too?
Yeah. I mean, before we go there, I do want to bring up the fact that there's this direct with the government. Right. And then we found out from the questioning that she testified she got 44,500 H-Coin, Himalaya coin. 44,500. 500, okay. And then the question was, how, right? How did you get this much? Because your investment is so low. Yeah. And how did you get this much, H-Coin, and allocated to her for her to purchase? And it's very interesting. And even our defense lawyer Scott asked her how, right? Like, what does it pertain to your volunteering? She couldn't even answer that, right? She was dancing around that question of how was she allocated this money? And she finally said that, it seems like, if they like you, they give you more.
Okay, so right? For free?
It's like 44,000 H-Coin. If you guys go and take a look, even at $10 each coin, that's well worth above what how much she's you know, vested.
Right.
But anyways, but that's something I want to bring up. It's very interesting. It's just like how.
To answer your question though.
She declines to answer the question like how she get the money by
she was
saying
very
that
difficult with that one.
Because they like me.
Yeah. So, but to answer your question, she did not go to Mr. Mao's.
She did not go to Mao's. Okay.
She went to Sarah Wei. She went to other farm volunteers, but never to Mr. Mao's directly.
Right. So was it her legal conclusion that, you know, if it's terminated with Sarah Wei, you can't go to Miles. Yeah, you know, I don't know how does her understanding go.
Right.
You know, that lead to this result.
Right.
Okay. Shall we move on to the next witness?
Kevin?
Yeah.
Witness number 16.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So witness number 16 was a familiar face actually.
Okay.
It was FBI agent Miss Espinoza, and she appeared before, right?
Yeah, I remember she was a forensic accountant for FBI. Okay.
And she was retestifying because she was approached by the case team after her testimony to review some further documents.
Okay.
Right. So and these documents, these financial documents, related to mainly the money transfer following after Crane Advisory Group and where that money actually led to.
So the after, you mean like after that witness number 14 left, right? It's the banking relationship guy.
No, her name is Kimberly Espinoza.
Right. I'm saying like, is this what is the money about? Is it the
it's about this guy, the gentleman by the name of Khaled.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, about the company that he created, which is called Crane. And we found out today in court that he actually had 9 different accounts that he was using, and it's very interesting. Like there's 2 on the screen. They had a a bubble chart of the companies. There's 2 with Capital One, and he has 7 accounts on the right with 3 separate banks. Okay, so he had a bunch of different accounts that was created that was moving the capital around.
So it wasn't shown to when he was present in the court, but then
that's right.
And then this government witness, the forensic accountant, showed this
correct.
A very transparent picture of the bank accounts under the Crane company, right?
And it was just one specific piece of evidence. It was essentially a flow chart, and the direct and the cross were very, very swift. The whole ordeal lasted about 45 minutes, with the cross exam only lasting 10 minutes. So would we have Kevin dive into the details of what was presented, as he is our resident economist?
Yeah, so I mean, it was just a flow chart of, a PowerPoint of just showing all the bank accounts and their signature cards. And so a signature card is just showing, I guess, all the details of the bank account, like the ultimate beneficiary owner, the names, the addresses, and stuff like that. And it was also showing sort of the money flow between accounts. And the prosecution tried to show the different numbers that flowed from each account into where. But during the defense cross-examination, Scott Mouse's defense counsel was able to clear up a bit more about what each transfer was for. So, for example, there was an internal transfer from one account to another account. Hamilton, yes.
Yeah.
So that was an internal transfer, but it wasn't really clear. Yeah, it wasn't really clear during the direct, and so during the cross, they cleared it up. It was internal transfer. It never left to another account, which is within different accounts of the same company.
Yep.
And then like Jackson mentioned, they were showing the accounts at different banks, such as IDB Bank, Capital One, Signature Bank, and then there was also, I believe, 4 accounts at Morgan Stanley as well. But for some reason, they didn't show it in the PowerPoint, which is quite interesting.
So similar to last time, she was present in court and then to testify a PowerPoint that she might have some correction. She made some correction for, and then to say what is this, what is that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, you have your prosecution painting one picture and then the defense trying to clear it up, right?
Right.
Yeah. And because she was only asked to say, is this what presents as on the PowerPoint? There wasn't much depth into it. I believe the jurors, if they wanted depth, they could have looked into witness number 14, Haitham Khalid, who was the owner of the Crane Advisory Group, and that was definitely a testimony that held a lot more depth, and we all know what happened with that witness, right?
I feel like, in my personal opinion, if they did bring up this chart while we're testifying, going over everything with Khalid, then would have been dismissed. I mean, dismissed in terms of from everybody in court's perspective, right? The audience, as we're watching this, because like, oh, you then connect the dots. Oh, this guy had this many accounts and he was moving money. Okay. So, but anyways, they want to bring an expert witness back, which is very short. You know, this FBI forensic accountant, Kimberly Espinoza, they brought her back. I believe it was like less than maybe half an hour, right?
Yeah.
It was like very, very quick. And what's interesting is when Scott asked her what version, of the PowerPoint were you given, right? When it got to you, and then she said, well, it's probably
second or third.
I think third or fourth. Okay. And then she says she believes the one that we're using for now is like fifth or
sixth. So as you can see, these expert witnesses are just basically testifying on top of documents that were presented to them.
Right, that's similar to the video analysis person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they have no knowledge of what the entities actually are. They just literally testify as to what's on paper as
what's on paper literally.
They don't know, like you said, they don't recognize the names at all. But one specific name that keeps coming up is Haitham Khalid, right? And it goes into the 16th witnesses. 17th witness that they brought on today. It was essentially a very fast-paced day.
Okay, so sounds good. So the documents she testified, it's during the period that the Queen. So it was like around a year or so, less than a year, right? Where the Queen was created. Yeah. So that's the time period. The amount of accounts that he created and the money transferred, and the transactions between the accounts and etc. Okay, let's move on to the next witness, shall we?
They want to show the disbursement of some of the funds from Crane into some of these other accounts because the next witness, Mawa, was brought up, right? The mansion in New Jersey was brought up because I believe they wanted to show, because they brought up, oh, here's the purchase agreement and the selling price of Mawa.
Is it still with Kimberly Espinoza?
Yes, I mean it was brought up, but then the next witness, with number 17, is Jamie Wilson.
So as you can see, everything is being very well planned, and then I don't know if we mentioned that before. Yesterday morning, both attorneys were talking about judge with regarding the schedule because the prosecutors keeps changing the order of witnesses for the following week because there are changes they made, but then the defense team has to respond accordingly and follow their schedule, and then as well as those changes. So, as you can see, it's very well planned. And each, when the Khalid, which was the owner of the Crane, the first time bring up on the court, and then follow up witness has also something to do with the entity Crane.
Right.
Yes, and then the Mawa is brought up. So, tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so it pretty much essentially transitions from there to the 17th witness, which is her name is Jamie Wilson, JamieWilson, witness number 17. She works at the Bank of Princeton as the bank's secretary, Brand Secrecy Act officer. Okay, and she's somebody that's supposed to protect a financial institution of money laundering and XYZ. So she does a little bit of investigative work, essentially from there. And from there, let me take a look. They went over essentially.
I mean, so her job is basically to protect financial institution, which is her employer, Bank of Princeton, from acts such as money laundering, tax evasion, and terrorism funding, stuff like that. And she does this by monitoring all the transactions and activity within the bank.
Right.
And so I believe the OFAC list was mentioned as well. And so the prosecution was asking about do you know what the OFAC list is? Can you please explain? And she was talking about that. And then moving on from there, they were talking about there was a BSA review of Lamp Capital in September 2020.
What is the BSA review?
Yeah, so BSA, like Jackson mentioned earlier, stands for Bank Secrecy Act.
Okay.
So I believe it's just a review of the accounts.
Right. It's essentially a very in-depth vetting process of whether or not this account deserves to be, or like just the details, the descriptions.
Yeah, the source of funds, capital is coming in, who are the people behind some of these accounts, and to see if it's valid, if it's legal, things like that.
So what was the main arguments brought up by the government team on with this specific witness?
I think it was basically a whole link just like how they've usually been doing it, to link Lamp Capital with the Crane Advisory Group, and link it all the way back to Mr. Miles Guo through all these financial wire transfers and whatnot. Because when she conducted the BSA on Lamp Capital, there were a few red flags that she found, and that was one of their main arguments, that Lamp Capital was an anomaly. Basically, it was Haitham Khalid was the advisor that brought, but wasn't the one that was actually signing it, if I was correct.
Yeah.
And the ultimate beneficiary was a non-U.S. citizen, which is fine to her knowledge. But
does she know the person?
Was it mentioned that she knew who the ultimate beneficiary was?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But yeah, one of the other points was that it was opened with 10 million in the account, which is, in her words, significantly more than the other
average person.
You're right.
Because Bank of Prison is a regional bank, right? It's, I believe she mentioned it services New Jersey and Pennsylvania, 26 branches in total. So yeah, so if you see 10 million coming in, it's
just like Khaled said, right? With the past win is, when he found out that Yvette at the time was a large client.
Yes, he was trying to get the balance, the credits that with large balance, so they want to keep such client in their bank, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Is there what was the how did the defense team do in terms of?
So we actually didn't start the cross. It's all direct, because so what's happening this week? The schedule is that the trial has actually been extended to go to 3 p.m. Right. Our lunch, or the first break, instead of ending at 11:30, is ending at 12. So everything has been extended this week, including next week is possibly a full day of a trial next week from, I think, the new schedule, I believe, because the judge most likely will tell us on Friday as to what it is. So we'll find out tomorrow.
So yes, okay. So basically, we don't know about the new schedule is gonna be like.
Yeah. Correct. Well, one option the judge did mention yesterday was that we go from 9:30 until 1. 1 hour break till 2, and then 2 to 5. Right. That's one option.
Yes.
And then one of the jurors brought up at the end of yesterday's trial that, hey, could we possibly consider breaking up into two breaks? Right. So a break earlier during the day, a break later in the evening. But either way, we'll find out tomorrow most likely.
Okay, so they're suggesting to have 2 breaks of half an hour's break.
Yeah,
right?
well,
each half an hour.
Possibly.
Okay.
So we'll find out tomorrow to make sure what the new schedule is for next week. But in terms of today, with this witness number 17, by the time we left, right, Kevin, it was around 2:30ish. So there's still a good half an hour.
Right. So the gist of it is that right now, when we're reporting, we actually don't know the conclusion of the day for the court. So the viewers, I hope you guys turn in tomorrow to catch the ending of the conclusion of today's trial, and it will most likely be the same for next week as well, considering if we're setting it to 5 p.m.
Right.
By the time that we're reporting, we're essentially only reporting like 75%.
Right. It was kind of, we had more witness than we expected, because in total of 16 witnesses, that's non-government witnesses. It's gonna testify on behalf of the government. That's gonna, I'm not sure how much we have now, that's like the witness that's non-government witness, but then we still have a lot of seems like we have a lot of government witness at this point. And the one that brought up today was the previous one that's already been testified in court for new documents, and that's been edited, right? So in terms of the schedule, we're gonna get back to everyone next week. It's gonna be a longer longer trial day, and then but we on Wednesday, I think it's break, right?
Yeah.
It's break
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Next week our schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is no trial, and Thursday, Friday. So everything is, and just to go back to the very beginning when we first started today's show, we were talking about before the trial started today. They're going over the future witness, Mr. Let me see, Samuel Roberts, I believe that's his name, and the 16,000-page document. So I believe whoever the next witness is, because you can tell between witnesses, right? Like Khaled, between all the different witnesses, they'll throw in, a government witness, just to kind of reset a little bit
Oh, right.
Because it's not something that is very storytelling too much, and there's not something that the defense can come back to cross too much in terms of what's really going on. It's just confirming some of these numbers, the dates, and whatnot. It's more of a reset, in my personal opinion, and they might throw these things in between the different witnesses that they're going to bring on. So I believe the next one might be somebody that's going to be very interesting. I mean, we'll find out. Everybody tune in, till tomorrow to find out what's going to happen to this lady, Jamie Wilson.
Right, as I said, it's really, really well planned. And I think, and then, we spent 2 days, 2 days and a half questioning Khaled. And then from what he gave to the court and from what he gave to everyone, it's gonna lead into a lot of witnesses that's related to his testimony.
Absolutely.
And this is like this is the arguments that the government uses to go against the Miles.
Right.
And do you guys see a pattern between the witness that's a former fellow fighter or a government witness?
So so like Jackson said, these government witnesses are more so low risk, low reward kind of testimonies, because they're very shallow testimonies, just confirming numbers and whatnot. As we saw with other victim witnesses or with other witnesses that they brought in, like Hatham Khalid, they were a lot deeper into the story of like the G series, their connection and their involvement, which also gives the opportunity for the cross to dig deeper as to where their foundations lie in their testimony, right? So as I'm sure there was an impression on the jurors of how valid these testimonies were once the cross started digging in. So those witnesses were more high reward, but also very high risk, because their testimonies didn't stand exactly on a solid foundation, in my opinion, right? So I urge the people watching to go back and rewatch like the testimony from Mr. Khalid, who was in charge of the Korean Advisory Group, to have a more full understanding of what the government is trying to portray in terms of the witnesses that follow. Right?
Yes, you can always go on nfscofficial.com for the official transcripts of the court, and from there you can read a lot of details and then the question and answers of each witness, and for each day we have both English and Chinese. And is there anything else you want to add before we end the show today?
I mean, there's also a pattern how, like Max said, usually the government witnesses, especially like the FBI agent and others, their direct and cross are much shorter because, like you said, they're more shallow testimonies. And so I believe that for the 17th witness who works at Bank of Princeton, it's possible that it'll end tomorrow morning, and then maybe we'll see if there's another government witness for tomorrow afternoon. And if not, I believe it's time for the defense to call up their witnesses as well.
Absolutely.
So you think that the extra time that we're gonna have next week is gonna help maybe avoid the delay of the trial?
Yeah, I believe possibly the next one could be their start witness. By the sound of things, 1,000-page document. This gentleman's going to talk about what happened between the termination of their relationship with Big Go and Himalayan Exchange. Oh, we're not going to. He made sure to bring up to the judge. Well, he's not going to testify about whether H dollar is real. Cryptocurrencies, whether the Himalayan Exchange is real or not, but so you can see that they're leading up to something, and it kind of makes sense with the timeline where tomorrow, let's see what happens tomorrow, and then Saturday, Sunday is the amount of time that everybody essentially had to dig in to figure out how to fight next Monday and Tuesday. With Wednesday coming up, we'll see what happens, but it's getting very exciting.
Right. And then we counted the day a little bit today, actually, that we're like halfway through if we count all the days together. We have 15th day left in this trial, but if not even a bit more. So we're gonna read a little bit of the show comments of the people watching the show right now, and see if there's an answer we can answer, or there's some feedbacks we can give, and then let's see.
Say hello.
Hi, Angel Girl. Hi, Free Mile School, and then
take down the CCP and the Chinese
and the Chinese people free.
Free the Chinese people.
Free the Chinese people.
Oh,
yes.
free Mr. Mao's goal and take down the CCP. Got it. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see there's a comment underneath.
Salon 555.
Salon 555. Hello. What is this about? Who is this guy and what happened here? Okay, I'm gonna give a very short instruction. Maybe we can add on to it because you guys, you know, have your own perspective. So, this is a special program, English program for Mao's trial. Mao's goal is the #1 enemy of the Chinese Communist Party. He exposed a lot of the evilness of the CCP and the things the CCP has done to the Chinese people and as well as the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. And he is the founder of the new federal state of China. And we're all the fellow fighters here, and then we're doing this show. We're giving updates for people who are interested in this in the trial, because the U.S. federal government has put 12 financial charges on him and 1 RICO. So he's on trial right now, starting May 22nd. We are here to give live updates every single day. So this English show at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, is there anything else you guys want to add on what is going on?
Yeah, for sure. From my understanding, Mr. Mao's goal, because he was the #1 enemy of the CCP, he had fled and lived as a political dissident, a refugee from the CCP here in the U.S. And here he is also established, like you said, the NFSC, the new federal state of China, mm-hmm. as a way to give the Chinese people a newfound freedom away from the grasp of the CCP. He has repeatedly stated that the CCP has kept 1.4 billion people in imprisonment, essentially, in an open-air prison back in China, because they're restricted from speaking out. They don't have free speech. They don't have their basic liberties, right? And they've been indoctrinated in ways that we can't even imagine living here. And to aid his quest to take down the CCP, he has created an ecosystem to help fellow fighters in terms of their investments, in terms of basically providing resources for us in a very beneficial way. And I'm sure we're all very touched by that. But because of his activities, it has also caught on the attention of the U.S. government. Yes. So that's why he's currently in trial right now in the Southern District of New York, undergoing, perhaps it was the third full week, right? Third week
yes.
of his trial. As you said, 12 indictments, mostly financial, and 1 RICO.
Financial, yeah, yes. A lot of main arguments about the trial is that he committed fraud. He was frauding people because CCP took his money. But then, if you learn a little more about this person, Miles Guo, he is a billionaire, back in China, and he has lived in this lifestyle of his, like a special lifestyle for decades. So there's the only way to because a lot of investors' money got frozen, right? And then the government claims it's Miles that's trying to do money laundering, trying to defraud people by giving the label of taking down the Chinese Communist Party. But then the only way to get the money, defroze the money, is to take down the Chinese Communist Party. Right? Is there anything you want to add in terms of the government's involvement in the movement right now?
I mean, I know we're very limited on time, so I do want to say that Mr. Miles Guo can live a very luxurious life without doing any of this work, without taking on the heat of the Chinese Communist Party or any heat. He can live a very luxurious life, but he chose this mission of taking down the Chinese Communist Party, giving the Chinese people, the innocent, kind, peace-loving Chinese people, an opportunity, as another option. Because as we know, the CCP in China only has, it's a one-party governed country.
Yes.
Unlike America, there are multiple options, right, for everybody. So I just want to say that we can be the very first generation of people ever, after all the emperors, the dynasties, the dictators, and the whatnots. We can be the very first generation of people, as you guys see on the screen, Feather, Max, Kevin.
And Jackson.
But we can literally be the first ever generation of people to bring freedom of speech, freedom, a democracy, one person, one vote. I mean, you name it. You name it. True rule of law back to China. And it's just so important because 2017, Ms. Miles blew the whistle on the 13579 bioweapon plan to the FBI. And as we know what 1357 bioweapon plan is, which is the pandemic, the virus, right? The vaccine disaster that's on the horizon. I'm sure there are many people that have been, millions of you guys that are watching, that have had negative effects from the pandemic, from the virus, has lost a loved one. So with that being said, knowing that the CCP is the one that's behind it all, that put out this bioweapon, and we're still in the midst of it, right? And it's not the end yet. So that is the ultimate, in my personal opinion, the crime against humanity at the highest level.
Absolutely.
What other reasons do you need?
Yeah. And I urge everyone to please keep up to date with this trial. It really is the trial of the century. It affects the entire world. We want more people to be aware of what's happening to Miles Guo and his mission to take down the CCP. We're trying to wake up Americans, stop America from becoming the next CCP, right? And a lot of what we do here at NFSC is working towards that goal.
And if you go on YouTube, there's actually a 30-minute video explaining who is Miles Guo. I think it's called Why is Miles Guo? And it's you can search up at the person who uploaded it. It's called The Star of Liberty. There's a 30-minute video explains you who is he, and then from his experience since a child to the step-by-step help, like why he became the person he is today. It's a really precise, very very good video to watch if you don't know about the movement and if you don't know about Miles Guo. And thank you so much, Kevin, Jackson, and Max, and thank you so much for watching. And the follow-up with the trial is very important because I want to say at the end of the day, it will not only prove that Miles is innocent, and it also will clear that his goal was unified. It's always the same goal that he had since day one. He decided to start this movement, and also it will prove the infiltration of the U.S. government, so by the CCP, the infiltration by the CCP. And thank you very much, guys, for watching. Please follow us on X, Getter, and Rumble. NFSC Speak will post live updates every single day about the trial. And we're having this English special program every day of the trial day from 3 to 4 Eastern Standard Time. And thank you so much for watching. See you next time.
All right.